I didn't know how to say it to you without sounding nervous or maybe even a little unsure, but today something big happened. It was quiet. No grand gestures or loud words, but it meant everything to me. It felt like a small victory at the end of a long journey, a moment I had hoped for deep in my heart, but never really knew how or when it would come. Today, for the first time, my dad finally saw you the way I've always seen you. He finally liked you. For me. You know how it's always been with him. Not cold, not harsh, just distant. Careful. Hard to impress, especially when it comes to people I care about. He's never been the type to open up easily. He watches, from a distance listens quietly and says very little, and when he does speak, his words carry weight because they're rare. So for years, every time I spoke about you, I watched his face for any sign, any expression, that he was warming up. But he always stayed the same. Quiet. A simple nod. No real response. Just a silence that made me feel like maybe I was asking for something too soon. And I understood. You and he have never met. He's never heard your voice, your laughter. He's never seen the way your eyes light up when you're talking about something you love. He didn't know your kindness or your quiet strength. All he had were my words. And sometimes words aren't enough. But today, something changed. It started out like any other evening. Dinner was done. We were just sitting on the couch. The TV was on, but neither of us were really watching. He was scrolling through his phone, looking tired in that familiar way. And something just made me reach for my phone and open the photo album, the one I filled with pictures of you. I turned to him and asked, "Can I show you something?" He looked up, curious, and said, "What is it?" And I started sliding through the pictures. Pictures of you smiling, laughing, just being you. Some were silly selfies. Some were those quiet, special moments I had saved, the ones where your eyes look soft and thoughtful, or when you're holding your coffee like it's the most important thing in the world. I didn't say much, just let the pictures speak. He was silent at first. I expected that. He always is. But then something shifted. I saw it in his eyes before I saw it in his face. He looked closely, more than just a glance. And then, finally, he smiled. Just a little, but enough for me to notice. He pointed at one photo and said, "That's her?" I nodded. "Yeah, that's her." There was a long pause. I could feel my heart pounding. And then he said something I didn't expect. "She seems gentle. You look comfortable around her." I froze. My chest tightened in the best way. I didn't know what to say. He kept scrolling, slower now. Then he looked up again and said, "You know what? I like her for you." Just like that. No warning, no hesitation, no guarded expression. He said it like he meant it, like something inside him had finally clicked. In that moment, everything made sense. He didn't need a backstory. He didn't need to hear all the reasons why you make me happy. He just needed to see you, to really see you. And through those pictures, he did. He saw your kindness, your calmness, your quiet beauty. He saw the way you look at the camera like you're not trying to pose, just being yourself. And maybe, just maybe, he saw how much peace you bring to me. That was when I realized something important. Sometimes we try too hard to make others understand what we feel. We talk and explain and try to prove. But sometimes they don't need all that. Sometimes they just need to see, to feel. And today, my dad felt what I've been feeling all along. He didn't say much after that, but he kept that smile. And he kept looking at your pictures. That night, I stared at the same photo he paused at the longest. You were looking off to the side, like you didn't know the picture was being taken. You looked calm, a little dreamy, the way you get when you're lost in thought. That was the picture that changed everything. The next morning, something even more surprising happened. He brought you up. He asked if you were working that day, what kind of job you had, what kind of food you liked. Real questions. Not the kind you ask just to fill the silence, but the kind you ask when you're interested, when you care. That day was different. He spoke about you more than he ever had before. At lunch, he mentioned your name. While we watched the news, he asked what city you were from. Later, I found out he had shown your photo to my aunt without telling me. She sent me a message saying, "She's beautiful, you're lucky." I smiled, but not just because of the compliment. I smiled because it meant my dad had shared your picture. That meant something had shifted in him. He wasn't just accepting you, he was proud to. And that's when it hit me. Maybe my dad had always been scared, not of you, but of me getting hurt. Of me falling too hard too fast. Maybe he didn't want to open up unless he was sure it was safe. And after seeing you, maybe he felt that safety too. My mom noticed it too. One night she said, "Your father seems calmer lately. I think he likes her." I didn't know what to say, I just smiled, because I finally believed it too. He hadn't even met you yet, but already he was asking about your favorite food, the kind of tea you drink, whether you'd be okay visiting someday. Small things, but big steps for him. And I started to imagine what it would be like when he finally met you. I imagined you walking in nervous but smiling. Him sitting there, pretending he wasn't nervous too. And then maybe he'd get up, shake your hand, and say something simple like, "So this is the girl I've heard about." And that would be enough. No big talks, no long speeches, just quiet understanding. That's what my dad gives when he cares. Then the day finally came. It was a Sunday. No big plans, no decorations. Just an ordinary day. He was outside watering the plants, wearing that old sweater he only brings out when guests come. He was trying to act casual, but I could tell he was thinking about it too. You messaged me right before asking, "Are you sure your dad is okay with this?" I smiled at my phone and replied, "He's more than okay. Just be yourself." I waited by the gate, nervous myself. Then I saw your car. You stepped out, fixed your hair in the window, and smiled at me with that small, unsure smile I love so much. We walked up together. Your hand squeezed mine. "Let's do this," you whispered. He opened the door, looked at you, then simply said, "Come in." I was just about to make tea. That was it. That's all he needed to say. And you smiled, said thank you, and stepped inside. We sat together in the living room. He served the tea himself, sat across from us, and looked at you directly. "So you're the one who makes him smile so much." You laughed softly. "I hope that's a good thing." He nodded. "It is." The conversation was slow. That's how he is. But you matched his pace. Calm, respectful, honest. You didn't try to impress. You just were yourself. And that was enough. At one point, he stood up and brought out the old photo album. The one I hadn't seen in years. He sat next to you, flipping through the pages, telling stories from long ago. You listened, really listened. You laughed at my childhood pictures and I didn't even feel embarrassed. That's how comfortable you made the room feel. You didn't stay long that first time. But when you left, he said something I'll never forget. "Next time, come hungry. We'll cook together." You nodded, smiling. I could tell it meant everything to you. And as we walked back to your car, you looked at me with wide eyes like, "Did that really just happen?" I nodded. "Yeah, he likes you." And you smiled, biting your lip like you were holding back happy tears. From then on, things changed. Slowly, quietly, but clearly. He started asking when you were coming again, mentioning little things you said, talking about your favorite tea. It wasn't just acceptance. It was warmth. It was care. 1 week later, you came back, this time more relaxed. You brought homemade snacks and said, "Told you I could cook." My dad took one bite, nodded and said, "Not bad at all." That was his 5-star review. We all sat together after dinner. You told stories. He laughed, and I sat back, watching. Grateful. Later that evening, he asked me to help him with something in the shed. As we walked, he said something I didn't expect. "She's different." I looked at him, unsure where he was going. "She listens. She respects. She's not trying to be someone else. I see the way she looks at you. It's honest." I didn't say anything, just nodded. Then he added, "Your mom would have liked her. She reminds me of her in small ways. Calm, kind, strong inside." I froze. He hadn't talked about my mom like that in years. Not in that soft way. Then, he looked at me and said, "You choose someone like that, I won't stop you." That was it, the clearest approval I could have ever asked for. When we walked back inside, you were sitting on the couch with your legs tucked under you, flipping through a book. You looked up, smiled, and said, "Took you both long enough." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Next time, you go help him," he said. And just like that, you were part of the family, not by announcement, not by permission, but by feeling. Later that night, I walked you to your car. You looked at me and asked, "He talked to you, didn't he?" I nodded. "What did he say?" I smiled. "He said you remind him of someone very special." You didn't ask more. You just leaned into me, rested your head on my chest, and stood there for a while. No rush, no need for words. And that's when I knew. After all this time, he understands.